Hey, Jordan.
Hi, James. Can you hear me?
I can hear you great. How are you doing? Man, I was so excited when I saw the pictures y'all sent of your classroom, and I saw people in there. I also saw you had, so it looks like some chess going, you had some robotics going, so it just looks like y'all have got it going on over there. So tell me about yourself. Are you a teacher at Gompers, or are you administrator, or both, all the above?
I'm actually a teacher, so this is only my second year here, but last year was my first, and there wasn't really a robotics program. We had a bright young man of the name of Alonzo, and he was asking about what we could do for some robotics programming. So we did the basic stuff like FLL and whatnot, stuff that's like really easily accessible. And as the year kind of progressed, he kind of got into like drones and like RC cars and stuff like that, and FPV cameras and whatnot, and those kinds of robotics. So I started teaching a lot of that stuff, and I started coaching a lot of that stuff, kind of learning a lot of that myself. So it's my second year here now, and I'm just a teacher. I teach 11th grade math, but we're kind of like just kind of exploring everything that we can, because I have found, and so has Mr. Bentz, who you've spoken with a little bit, we found that when we kind of like just dip our toes in whatever we can and look for whatever we can, involve our kids in and whatnot, we get the kind of the best experience. We find that our kids are more passionate about things. They end up finding things they're passionate about, and we plant those seeds and we watch that grow. So yes, to answer your question, I am a teacher here, and I teach, I coach, I'm involved in all that kind of stuff. So
That's awesome. That's awesome. So what was FPV? Was that like a bridge into ham radio for y'all? Like, cause yeah, I mean, I don't know. You might have seen this a little bit, but some of the frequencies that the FPV drones actually use amateur radio spectrum. And so that was a bridge for y'all.
yes, that's exactly correct. We weren't sure about some of the legality concerns with that. So we didn't want our kids like interfering with like certain radio frequencies or doing something that they shouldn't be doing on accident, and then them getting in trouble, or we're getting the school in trouble. So we decided we wanted to educate them about how FPV works. And even though we're transitioning to a lot of like high definition video these days, the analog video still uses radio waves and whatnot. So we just mainly use analog anyways. So that was that transition. So we're trying to teach them, how does this work? How do you see what you see? How do radio waves work? What are you interfering with? What are you working with? And so on. So yeah, that was that bridge. And it's been a good transition, because we're realizing how much we like that. And now we're even going to be getting some ham radios for our students. And we're going to be having, again, I told you about Alonzo, but he's now on the East Coast. We're going to be communicating with him on the East Coast using ham radios and whatnot. So
That's awesome. Well, I'm here in Atlanta, so maybe we could set up an HF connection. Hey, I'd be happy to be a part of it if we make some contacts with the kids on your school. We just have to check the propagation, pick a band, and but I really commend y'all for kind of taking the step. And like I pick up the phone and I look at your office, and I see the background, and I'm like, okay, they're definitely doing things differently over in your classroom. Like what is it you think that about your approach that is unique there? Because I have to say, if I look back at my own, my own school experience, I think it's hard to sometimes get outside of just what's standard and what people do, and then start taking on these other things. I mean, you're doing robotics, you're doing FPV, you've introduced like ham radio. Like, what's your kind of what's your thought process there, and like what drives you to like want to introduce new things and sort of be an innovator in the space?
that's a great question. I would say, for me personally, it's just helping students kind of find their passions. I only discovered FPV and drones and ham radio through my students' passions, right? Like I was saying, Alonzo was very passionate about robotics. And so we started with something small. And as they started asking me questions that I couldn't answer because I had no experience with them, I found that I needed to start experiencing those things. So I would say it's the students' passions and their interests that kind of spark what we're doing here. We're trying to provide everything that we can for them. So what makes it special is we don't say no. Like, obviously safety's first, but we don't say no to things they're interested in. Like, if there's a will, there's a way. If there's something that you want to explore and experiment with in terms of that, we can help you do it here in a safe and good way, then we'll do that for them, And so whether it was FPV, and teaching them about ham radio and making sure they're not interfering with doing things that are illegal, that kind of thing, teaching them about drones, teaching them proper etiquette with that, and teaching them about batteries and voltage and how not to start fires and so on. So yeah, that kind of stuff. So I would say it's really the students' passions and their interest, and all of that. So yeah,
that's interesting. That kind of surprised me, because I would have expected you to say, no, I'm interested in all these things outside of work, and I kind of and I pulled it in, but it's like actually kind of like growing from within the students, and you're doing a lot of listening to the students, and that's helping drive that, which I can like resonate with that of like, being in the ham radio industry and having ham radio experts on my team and technology experts on my team. Like sometimes I feel like I'm trying to just drive everything, but if you listen to the people that you're most working with and encourage them to kind of innovate, then I mean that's very empowering too. So that's incredible. And how did you come across Ham Radio Prep of all things? Obviously, it was super excited to have you, but did you just see us online, or did you hear from us from a friend, or?
It was in our research. We were just researching, websites or resources that we could use for teaching our students. And then there were some that were just not very good. They didn't provide a good education. They didn't provide all the resources that we wanted for our kids. And we found that yours was like that, kind of in the Goldilocks zone. It was the right price for our students, for our school, for our administrators. And we also found that it had everything that we kind of need. All the resources were perfect. We really liked the way that it was organized, and that it was easy to kind of pause through the videos. The kids could take notes that way. We liked the way that it tests them on all the content. It was just really convenient, really unique way to teach them, actually. So, and at the same time, we wanted something that would kind of be able to scaffold at every different level for all of them. So even if they don't understand ham radio, or even if they do understand ham radio, some of them are going through it faster. Some of them are able to take that extra time that they need to learn with what they're doing. So it was kind of just the right thing we were looking for,
I wonder though, like for your school, would it be helpful if Ham Radio Prep provided more of a curriculum service? Like, if instead of just the course for like the licensing, if we kind of package that up, just to dream for a second, like if we actually included some of the, ham radio materials for your classroom, would that type of stuff be helpful as well? Or is what do you think?
If you guys provided like a kit type thing where we were able to like, buy a ham radio or two, or even a couple like class versions, and we could be teaching our kids that way, where we're interacting with them and working with that would be amazing, that kind of thing. Because yeah, the curriculum is great. You guys don't have a teacher curriculum basically, but there are some websites that have like a teacher version where we can see like the exact pace of all the students or what they're struggling with and so on and so forth. So having a teacher module of that is really helpful as well. I think the content as is already great, but I think you providing the curriculum as is perfect. I think that allowing the teacher to be able to pace it sometimes is even better, or to tell a student that they need to work on this subject a little more because there's a lack of understanding there. So to go back to that, type thing. But that gets really complicated. I'm not sure how you guys work with educational software or how that even works, honestly. But that would be amazing. That's something that schools are really looking for. I think another thing that we were concerned about was with the kids getting bored, kind of like you said, dropping off. And your videos are engaging just enough to where the kids don't get bored. We make them take notes and whatnot, which is like, it's a way of like, checking and making sure, keeping them mindful of, am I actually watching this or am I tuning out? But, the content is like, it's straight enough and to the point. And it's also like, it provides them with just enough backstory and context, like you're saying, that they really get interested. Like, okay, I'm kind of beginning to understand really what's going on here type stuff, and I think that that's another thing that is really important about your guys' software as well.
That's awesome. So yeah, tell me just kind of like what's been from the experience from the student side. I think you explained it a little bit, but like how have the students been feeling about the course navigation, and how's their experience been since they logged in?
I think you'll love to hear it, but I just say easy, and that's not always easy with kids. You know, kids usually just point and click and they get lost, but I'm asking them, like, have you guys gotten lost at all? Do you need help finding something? Do you know where you are? Like, yeah, it's easy. It's fine. Navigation is very simple. Yeah. They take notes. The pausing is great. The pacing is good. We've had several kids finish. They don't find the content itself to be too difficult, you know? It's just perfect. And some of them are really passionate about it. The way that you guys offer that discount for our kids for taking the exam as well, that's incredibly helpful. Some of them are like, I need to take this test now. I need to know if I pass it. Like they're trying to get through the course like as fast as possible while understanding and passing everything. We're making sure that they have 100% correctness and that they really understand what they're doing. But they're really trying to they're really passionate about getting through and passing this because they think it's like a really prestigious thing. They think it's an amazing thing to be as old as they are and having something like a ham radio license. So
awesome. Well, Jordan, I will let you run. Thanks for the conversation today. We'll be in touch. We're anxious to hear how it goes, and just consider us a partner for everything.
It was great talking. I will definitely be in touch with you. So have a good one.
Take care. Bye. Dude.